You're inside the press box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your host, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Hey there, Vero Nation. Thanks for joining us inside the press box. Vero Beach last week got its second district win, and all I can say is, whew, boy, good to come away with a victory there. Boy, it was in question for quite a while. Paul Tipton along with Gary Paris, and Vero Beach now 5-0 overall, 2-0 in the district, Gary, and they got the back half of the season coming their way. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but quick recap of last week's game. I know you weren't there. You were on with UCF, but hey, it was an interesting ball game, as it always is, Gary, when we are on the road, especially down in St. Lucie County.
It was an exciting game, and to listen to it, and you and Matt did an outstanding job, but it was intense. But you know what, Paul? I'll ask you some questions because here's my thing. We, in the first half, I believe we threw the ball 4 times. 2 of them were interceptions.
Yeah.
One was a touchdown, and another one was a completion for a -1 yard. So apparently 2 things came to my mind. One, we felt like we could run on these guys, Central. 2, is they did a good job of taking away our passing game. So you were there, and I'll ask you those questions.
Well, I would say that, in the end, it was real simple. We forced more turnovers than they did, and that really became the difference in the ball game, truthfully. First of all, I got to give some unbelievable credit to our secondary. They got 3 interceptions on the night, and 2 of those by Micah Roberts were some of the best catches I've seen by either a receiver or a defender.
I heard Matt describe he reaches back with one hand and grabs one.
It was like Odell Beckham. I mean, if you've ever watched that one big catch by Odell Beckham that put him on the map, it was very much like that. And that's by a defender.
And he's only a sophomore.
Right.
Only a sophomore.
Yeah. The other one, which was really the one that helped seal the game for us, I mean, my goodness. You talk about high pointing a ball? My gosh, this guy went up super high to get that ball. But then you got Jamarian Hillsman, who got the third interception. It was such a critical moment. I mean, all turnovers are extremely helpful for your team, obviously, but Jamarian's was in the end zone. And if he doesn't catch that ball, that's probably a touchdown for Fort Pierce Central, and they might have just won that ball game.
Wow. I know that first half, Vero had those 2 turnovers. You're able to get a touchdown in the second quarter to cut the lead from 13-0 to 13-7.
Right.
And that. So, as a broadcaster and having done these for years, your thoughts on the first half of the game?
First of all, Gary, you got to start at the very, very beginning of this, before the game ever got started. Everybody arrives to Lawnwood Stadium. They're under a weather delay because of lightning that was too close to the stadium. And so now you're already out of your routine of things. I mean, even for us as a broadcast crew, we were kind of out of sorts because we weren't sure when they were going to lift the delay. And then when they lift the delay, how much time are we going to have before they're actually going to start the game? It turned out that the delay was lifted at about 6:45, and they kicked off around 7:10. So we had to obviously kind of roll with the flow a little bit and change up our overall pregame. I can only imagine, with what we were going through, what are the players and the coaches having to deal with? A lot of uncertainty. So I think right there, that in and of itself kind of like threw everybody off of it. And you can say, well, Fort Pierce Central had to deal with the same thing. Yeah, they did. And I think that kind of contributed to the early start of this game, Gary, being a little sloppy and both teams looking a little bit out of sorts. You can always look at this from 2 point of views. You can say, well, both defenses played well. They did. They did play well. But you could also just tell that both offenses, and especially Vero Beach, they just did not look like they were in rhythm early.
Well, you got to give credit then to Coach Watkins' defense in that first half. They did the whole game basically. They kept themselves close and near the ball game at that time. And the thing that I thought too going into the first half, I never felt that Vera was going to lose that game, even though we were behind at halftime, 13-7.
Yeah.
I never felt that we were in danger of losing the game, and we get the ball to start the second half, and you guys, the second half was
actually Fort Pierce Central did.
Okay, I apologize. I was going to ask you. I was thinking we got it, but they got the ball. We had a crucial stop. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, they came out. They got the ball to start the third quarter, and they got, I think, one first down, and then Vero Beach forced an essential 3-and-out, and they punted the ball away, which then Vero Beach then takes and turns that. Got a good return, so we're on the plus side of the 50 at the 46, and then march down the field 46 yards, 6 plays, and E.J. White caps it off with a 5-yard run. Now we've got the lead by 1, 14-13. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, we may lose this game. It was just, okay, it's coming. We're gonna get our act together. We're gonna get in rhythm, and we did. And I give a lot of credit to Coach Jankowski of figuring out. Okay, it seemed to very apparent, Gary, that Fort Pierce Central decided they're going to take away as much as they can, try to take away our passing game. Force us to run the ball. And they did. And that's what we ended up doing. But you know what? Coach Jankowski said, all right, I see your move, and I'll make my own move. And we went to the ground game. And with the offensive line changes that they made, typically we've seen, Big Champ line up mostly at tackle. But, we've seen a couple of games, too, where he's lined up at guard. And that's what they did with him. They had him at guard, and he was able to, pull, get some good blocks, open up some lanes, and both E.J. White and Jonathan Hillsman had a fantastic night on the ground.
Let me give you these numbers, and you tell me how excited they were. We know number 11 can carry the ball, leading the team in rushing. That's our quarterback. And then he gets 141 yards on 24 carries. Now, that's exciting right there. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But the thing that I got more impressed was that our Hillsman, our running back, is back in form. He had 17 carries for 129 yards. When you needed the crunch, he gave you the punch.
Yeah. So you're talking, pretty much 300 yards of rushing on the night. And really, truthfully, Gary, probably should have had more, because, again, you go back to the first part of that game, and, the offense just wasn't clicking very well. If they had clicked a little better, I think we could have had it probably close to 400 yards rushing.
Well, you got to go back and think. We lost 2 possessions in the first half.
Yep.
And one of them going into a scoring situation, and you give up those 2 possessions. And Coach Jankowski is very important. One of the things he likes to talk about is the possession. How much of it, we're only going to get so many possessions across the game, and we were aware of that. And he lost 2 there in the first half.
Yeah, and he also 2 points that I just thought about here is, one, special teams. How valuable it was for Vero Beach in a game like this. In the second half, Gary, 3 consecutive times we kicked off and was touchback. And that's valuable. When your kicker can put it into the end zone and you don't have to worry about coverage, and your team, your defense has got to start from the 20, that's always a plus. I think the other thing in that, we've talked about this before, talking about that last, 3 to 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. And look at this. So to end the first half, Jamarian Hillsman got the interception. Was a touchdown-saving interception. Okay, coming into the half, Vero defense forces Fort Pierce Central to punt the ball away. Next first possession for Vero Beach, we go down the field, we score. that was a critical moment in that ball game.
And it is. And there you go right there. You take the lead. You set the tempo now for the second half. Vero Beach, the way I was listening to it, and it was to you and Matt, call the game. And just the idea that you were able to dominate the running game and really a lot of that yardage came on that second half of this game.
Yeah, I think our future opponents have to be looking at this film and going, wow, what do we stop? I mean, if we try to stop the passing game, they got a running game. If we try to stop the running game, they got a passing game. Because even in this game, we got a nice big play on the passing side, from Marcus Melbourne, who got, a score. I mean, what a nice play by that young man, by the way, to take pretty much like about a 10-yard pass and use his athleticism, got a couple of good blocks downfield, and then used a nice stiff arm, got himself into the end zone. And, at that point, who knew that would definitely be the go-ahead touchdown at that point? But it was. I mean, and that's why every possession is so critical, Gary.
Well, you got 7 points in the third, then we turn around and get 7 points in the fourth quarter. And that's important because that gave us a little bit of a cushion, it gave us a cushion by 8 points. Then it set the tone. To me, when that happened, I knew the game was going to. We were not going to give any more scores up. I just felt like our defense was playing some awesome football.
They did. They forced twice in that second half turnover on down. Actually, 3 times turnover on downs. And batting balls at the line of scrimmage. Bobby Burbick getting his hands up. If he couldn't get to the quarterback, he was getting his hands up, batting balls down. I mean, Josiah Taylor getting into the backfield, disrupting, throwing the timing off. Because let me tell you something, Fort Pierce Central, you could have made the case, okay, they didn't play as strong a schedule as Vero Beach, and that's true. I mean, even the state recognizes that in their power rankings. But they've got some good players on that team, and it starts with their quarterback, LaPlante. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He threw a dime in that first half that, was just, you talk about throwing in the bucket. I mean, he literally threw it right in between a defender, right into the receiver. Good players on that team. So I like what Coach Watkins is doing with his program. They're trending in the right direction. And, I don't want to say, our team took them lightly or anything like that. I don't think so. I think our guys were ready to play. There was certainly a lot of trash talking that has been going on probably since the middle of the summer because they played against each other in some 7-on-7s, and Fort Pierce Central actually won one of those meetings. And ever since then, they've been, talking some things. Our guys kept talking about it's personal. So I don't necessarily think anybody was looking at records and going, we should be better than them. I don't think that was the case. I just think that in the end, Fort Pierce Central's got a better team than maybe we gave them as broadcasters. Maybe we gave them enough credit for. But I give a lot of credit to our coaching staff for going, no, this is a better team than most people realize.
Yeah, they sounded like it on when I listened to the game. But again, I go back to after we scored that second touchdown in the or the first touchdown at the end in the second quarter, I didn't feel like we were going to lose that ball game. I just had a good feeling we were playing better. Our defense was playing better. Our offense was running the ball, and you picked up some key, like you said, some key interceptions. The 2 that we gave up in the first took away scoring opportunities too, I think.
Yeah.
Especially one of them there in that first quarter. We took away 2 of theirs in the second half, and you said one was in the end zone. And that's how important defenses were. Overall, Paul, we ended up with 312 yards of total offense for 46 plays. 46 plays. Usually, in a game like this, you're looking at 65 to 70 plays.
I think that Vero Beach, they did what they had to do to get the win in that game. Might be the best way to say that. Like I said, okay, you're going to try to take one aspect of our offense away. We'll just use the other aspect of our offense. And they did. So you talked about having over 300 yards of total offense, and I'd say probably 98% of that was just what they did on the ground.
Absolutely, and averaging close to 6.7, almost 7 yards or 7 yards per play. That is a great feeling to have, and come away with the W is the most important thing. No matter how pretty it is or how ugly it is, it's a W, and it's a district foe. So that means now we have 2 wins in the conference play, and they're against Fort Pierce and Centennial.
Yeah, and you got about 3 weeks from now you'll play Treasure Coast, and basically you win that game, you win the district. You're totally in the driver's seat at this point. You did what you were supposed to do. You win the games you're supposed to win. I mean, at this point, Vero should be the favorite in most of the games that they're playing the rest of the season, if not all. So you win the games you're supposed to win. They did, and like you said, may not have been flashy. It didn't have the big lopsided score or anything like that. And clearly, as we're already seeing with some of the rankings, that, apparently style points do matter, Gary, because even though Vero Beach is undefeated, they slid a little bit in the rankings, not just in the class, but overall as well. So, whatever the state wants to say, whatever Max Preps wants to say, clearly, something about the score or something about how you get a win certainly matters.
I agree with you, and again, I've told you before, I'm not a big ranking guy. I don't like ranking until usually the last month of the football season, because that's when everything counts. Really, really counts, because you got to win games. If you lose games, it can jeopardize your chance of being in playoffs. If you win ball games, you got a chance to go forward and move on to the playoffs. So the last month of the season, usually the last few weeks, is the big, what I always got excited about. But for us to drop from 13 to 25 in the state and still win, and so you're right.
Yeah,
their style points do. There's a matter.
Yeah, you can say all you want about scores don't matter. And your actions on this past week tell me different.
I'll tell you how this doesn't mean a lot, but we beat Buchholz, and they were behind us. Okay, they win, we win. We're now the 25th, and Buchholz is back in the top 15 or 13 or something like that school. So, I mean, you beat them, but you're behind them. So I don't know the formula, and they won't tell anybody how they do it. I don't even know if they know how to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gary. I mean, what's somewhat comical to me is, okay, last week the first power rankings came out. Vero Beach has got one of the tops as far as strength of schedule goes. I mean, they have a pretty high strength of schedule. Certainly their rating is one of the highest in the state. So if that's the case, and you play a team where you only beat them by, 8 points or so, somehow you get penalized for that? When you have one of the strongest strength of schedules, you have one of the strongest ratings in the state, shouldn't that say, well, yeah, they played, a strong team? But anyway, I mean, we could talk endlessly about
let's do this now. We're getting ready to play Booker T. Washington. They've had a struggle this year, but they're back on the winning track.
Yeah, well, they got their first win. Yeah,
they got their first win, and they're traveling to Vero Beach, and we know them from the past. Everybody's going to have an off year every now and then.
Sure.
And apparently somewhere along the line, this is their off year. But I just don't want our team to think because they're 1-5, they're a bad team. They played some good teams too.
Well, yeah, again, here you go. I mean, go look at the strength of schedule. They have one of the strongest ones out there. So then you go, oh, okay, I see why they're now 1-5, because they play. Again, it's such a mixed bag anymore about, like, okay, well, if the strength of schedule matters, then why doesn't, a team get rewarded even when they win? If it's a close game and they win, clearly Vero didn't get rewarded for that. They got penalized for it. But you're right. Booker T Booker T has a reputation for many, many years, and rightfully so. They're a strong program, and they've been a solid program for a long time. I think this is part of what the landscape of, sports in general is looking like now, Gary, with the ability for players at the high school level to be able to move from school to school, aka the transfer portal, you could see a team go from being really strong to being perceived as being weak the following year. The reverse can be true as well. You can see a team go from being a poor-looking team to a great-looking team in a year. So it's kind of hard to know for sure, like, is Booker T bad, or are they just average at this point because they've lost maybe some key players? I mean, we were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago with Coach Jay about guys transferring in the middle of the season.
Which I think
is crazy.
Crazy. You're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's getting more and more of a challenge to figure out a team because you can't necessarily look at the record anymore, you know?
No, you're going to see a team come into Vero Beach that is desperate to get back on the winning track. They got that win, and they got a second half of their season. They're fired up. Mm-hmm. This would be a great opportunity for them to knock off a high-ranked team, and so you better be prepared to play. And I promise you that Coach Jankowski and the offense, led by him, and Bill Motto, who leads the defense, they're going to be really fired up, ready to play this game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, of course, you know, for Booker T, you know, they're going to be looking at this from a potential playoff situation because if they can beat a team like Vero, they obviously can score a lot of points in their rankings. And also, too, they've got 2 games left on their schedule that are district games. So they've now lost 1 district game. They've won 1 district game. They still got 2 more to go. So if they can get on the winning track with their district games,
you can have a losing record.
Enough points, they might. If they don't win the district title, they might be able to get enough points to get in the playoffs.
Absolutely. So you got to be a little leery, and you got to be worried about the fact that this team is hungry and they're going to come in. We cannot rest on the laurels of our 5 victories. What we've got to do is it's 1 game at a time.
Yep.
You take all that and put it behind you. And I think as soon as our team can, and if they haven't, they will be able to learn that. Coach Jay will talk about the mentality of this is a new season.
Yeah.
This game's a new season.
Well, you hear him talk about it all the time now about how each game takes on a life of its own.
Exactly.
I mean, and let's just go back in the 5 games that we've played. I mean, and 6 if you want to count the preseason game. Man, they have all looked different, haven't they?
Every
they
one
really
of them.
have.
Every single one of them.
We've won in different ways.
The chemistry's different in every team.
Right, yeah. So it's going to be interesting. You know, you expect it to be a good ball game. I mean, again, Booker T's going to come in with their reputation, and rightfully so. They've been a good program for a long time. We've got to be ready to play ball, and I think the guys will be. This might have been, again, I don't want to discredit anything from Fort Pierce Central, but I think this might have been a wake-up call for the Fighting Indians.
And it should be. It should have been. It should have been like, hey, well, wait a minute. We got punched in the mouth early, and it didn't feel good. Took a while to get that feeling, and to get that good feeling. All right, you ready to fight now? I'm ready to fight too. Now you better watch out because now I'm fighting. You know, instead of taking punches, I'm going to give punches. And that's what it sounded like the second half of the game. Vero did a good job doing that, taking control of the game, the tempo, making the big plays, the things they needed to do to win. Now they got an opponent that's coming in that won a game and is hungry and is ready to punch again. So you better be from here on out. You got to look at every game and how important it is.
Yeah.
For the district, for the playoff. You want to get the highest seed you can get so you can have home field advantage.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we got Booker T this Friday night at the Citrus Bowl. Game time 7 o'clock. Our coverage begins. It's countdown to kickoff presented by Caps Pizza. Begins at 6 p.m. Gary Parrish, Paul Tipton, thanks for joining us in the press box. As always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the press box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.